Now at 11, Oregonians continue to voice their frustrations as they pack local town halls.
We need to show leadership. We need to be responsive. We need to have a plan.
Plus, the Trump administration deals a double blow as it cracks down on immigration and pulls funding for groups that support immigrants.
You shouldn't be afraid to go to the hospital.
How one nonprofit is adapting, and
she hears that someone is in need and she'll help them.
One woman known for helping others is now in need after her family loses their home in a fire. Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. It's another night in another packed Democratic town hall in Oregon. Tonight's event in Park Rose comes on the heels of massive protests in the Portland area against the actions of the Trump administration. This as Democrats try to regain support within their own party. The stands at Park Rose Middle School were filled to capacity Sunday afternoon as voters expressed concerns over what is happening in Washington, D.C. In just over 2 months, the Trump administration has moved to remake the size and role of the federal government by slashing programs and cutting funding, leaving many Democrats frustrated and nervous.
Until the public opinion shifts away from supporting Donald Trump, we don't have a lot of action that we can take in the legislative manner.
Representative Maxine Dexter acknowledged the party doesn't have much ability to push back right now, but believes some recent decisions from the president, including the introduction of sweeping tariffs that throttled global markets, are leading to some fissures in GOP support.
It's unprecedented. We've never lost more than 1,500 points 2 days in a row, and the fact that our president doesn't seem to think that's a problem, I think, is concerning to a lot of folks.
On Sunday, President Trump spoke on using the tariffs to balance trade deficits with countries across the globe, including China.
We have a tremendous deficit problem with China. They have a surplus of at least $1 trillion a year. I think it's like $1.1 trillion, and I want that solved.
Still, the Democratic Party has seen concerningly low approval ratings as lawmakers struggle to mount an opposition to the Trump administration.
I think Democrats are frustrated because they are not seeing action. And the challenge is that there isn't action that can be taken when you're not in the executive seat, you're not in the majority.
But Dexter believes large protests that the Portland area saw over the weekend show that the party may be able to regain support and even sway some Republicans away from the administration's policies.
We only need 3 Republicans to stand up, and when public opinion shifts, they will start doing so, and we're starting to see cracks.
In northern Washington, the retaliatory tariffs enacted by President Trump are already having an impact. Canadians crossing back into their own country have started getting charged a 25% surtax on certain U.S.-made goods they bought here on their visit. That's causing some to rethink where they spend their money.
Cheaper, yeah, especially gas. We don't use the can to carry back anymore, right? Yeah, because maybe not worth it.
Might make you think twice about some of the things that you buy.
Hotels near the border and even as far south as Seattle are seeing demand drop. One in Bellingham has seen a 30% drop in sales before the tariffs even went into effect. Now some are offering rooms at a 25% off discount for Canadians as a way to level off the tariffs. Well, an update now on the Trump administration's crackdown on nonprofit groups that provide legal help to immigrants. We first told you in February about the Trump administration's freezing funding for several local nonprofits that help immigrants here in our area. Now the administration has actually cut that funding. Our Libby Dowsett has our update.
Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon and Immigration Counseling Service are 2 of the groups that vowed to continue helping immigrants until the money runs out, but they're hoping for support from the community.
Dozens of nonprofit legal service providers are struggling to help both documented and undocumented immigrants as the U.S. Department of Homeland Security announces they are cut off.
for a grant to be taken away midstream, that's a definite shock and a definite disruption to the system, and it's hard to prepare for that.
Mercedes Rigg, an immigration attorney with Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, says the administration chopped the group's $300,000 two-year grant, which helps immigrants gain legal status.
Now they're going to have to pay a legal services fee along with the already expensive fee to the government, which is around $700.
A big blow to parents like this woman, who asked us to conceal her identity to avoid the attention of ICE. She's desperate for citizenship, so her disabled adult son won't be abandoned if she gets deported.
It is a struggle thinking of who will take care of your child, and more if you don't have extended family. I have a lot of friends, but they already have too much on their plates to do that. So it is hard.
Attorneys say immigrant families need affordable legal help.
Preparing legal documents for powers of attorney and for guardianship, just in case they are separated.
The Trump administration touts its handling of border security. A new poll shows 58% of Americans approve of the president's deportation efforts. With illegal border crossings now the lowest ever recorded. But immigrants claim ICE raids don't just take illegal criminals.
They don't care if you have been here for over 20 years. If you don't have a criminal record, they don't care. They just pick you up and they take you.
I tell them to not open the door and to look through the peephole in the window and ask them to identify themselves.
Free legal help that local nonprofit groups worry will soon be coming to an end.
At this point, the plan is to show solidarity and move forward with current services for immigrants. But group leaders say they may have to reevaluate that down the road. Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Thank you, Libby. These groups are now asking for local donations to help support their operations during this time. You can find donation instructions on the websites for Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon and Immigration Counseling Service. We're also learning more about cuts coming to National Endowment for the Humanities. We first reported on Friday, independent nonprofit Oregon Humanities had its federal funding cut. Now we know the same has happened to Humanities Washington. For both, it made up about half of their annual budget. That means reading programs, exhibits, community conversations, grants, and other programs are on the chopping block.
So it will mean jobs, it will mean income for folks. And it'll mean a loss of programs in communities. That's the most heartbreaking part.
Microcosm of what's happening across the country with these cuts. It's brutal for the arts community.
Our sister station has reached out to NEH for comment. We have yet to hear back. All right, turning now to weather. From near record temps just a day ago to cool and soggy to end the weekend. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri has a quick look at our first forecast. And Joe, what's the start of the work week going to look like for us?
Well, you guessed it. If you've been out there at all tonight, John, soggy. Yeah, we did see a beautiful start to the weekend, and yeah, out there right around 3 o'clock basically until now, we've been seeing a steady stream of green, and that's going to continue heading into the next couple of hours. There's a little bit of a window where we'll see a break from the rain in the early morning hours, but right now we are starting to pick up some of those showers widespread throughout the coast, the valley, and into the mountains, although the snow levels are pretty high right now. But we'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, it's wet throughout much of the Pacific Northwest, all the way down into Northern California and the Bay Area. So we could be looking at another a tenth, maybe a little more than that, of an inch of rain, and then we'll dry out basically just after midnight. But the rain picks up again right around 6 a.m. tomorrow, and by 6 a.m. we could be looking at not only heavy downpours, but a chance to see some areas of hail and some thunderstorms. So kind of an active start to the work week, but we've already seen basically about just over a fourth of an inch of rain since midnight. A lot of this has been coming down since late this afternoon along the Oregon coast, well over a half of an inch. Oakland there along the Washington coast there, 0.8 of an inch of rain. Tomorrow, this is what we're going to be looking at. A little mix of some showers and hail right out of the gate, and then that basically threat of thunderstorms continues there a good portion of the afternoon and into the early part of the evening. I'll talk more about your detailed forecast in about 10 minutes from now.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. New tonight, one person is dead and another critically hurt after a two-vehicle crash in Clackamas County. It happened around 5 Friday evening south of Estacada on South Springwater Road. Investigators say a motorcycle with two people hit a sedan as it was turning into a driveway. The motorcycle driver, 64-year-old Brent Bjorkman, died at the scene. The passenger was taken to a Portland hospital with critical injuries. The sedan driver was not seriously hurt and stayed on scene to speak with investigators.
And I've been homeless, but never a tragedy like this. Never. Something you could prepare for in advance, but this was just sudden.
A family is left struggling to make ends meet after a fire ripped through a home they've lived in for decades, leaving an elderly couple living in a trailer. The family also lost 2 of their dogs, and the family is in need of the community support as they figure out what their next move will be. Our Celine Stevens spoke with them today.
The flames were just shooting out of this front garage door by the time I got out.
On Wednesday, April 2nd, the home Bobby Molina and her family have lived in for over 20 years in Independence went up in flames.
It was about 7:30 and I smelled something. The kids had just left. And I thought they'd left something on the stove. And I stood up and somebody's banging on my door like as mad as can be. And then I heard, "Your house is on fire."
According to Polk County Fire District, by the time they arrived, they found a fully involved garage fire that had spread into the home. Bobby, her husband, her grandson, and granddaughter-in-law all lived in the home, with Bobby being the only one at home at the time.
And we got a phone call, and Bobby was screaming at the top of her lungs, had no idea what was going on. She didn't say anything clear, but she was yelling for her dog, Shadow.
The family had several dogs, with all but 2 making it out alive.
My companion dog we lost, Shadow. He was my shadow, because he was always right there.
Another dog, Daisy, also not making it out.
Called her Wiggle Butt because she would sit there on her front paws and just wiggle her butt. I saw them bring her out of the house and she was black.
Now, Bobby and her husband are staying in a small trailer, while the other 2 stay in a motel.
Right now we're dealing with trying to find a bigger living quarters. We're wanting to get at least a 30-foot motorhome or travel trailer or fifth wheel. And, that's going to be our forever home.
Bobby's husband, suffering from a severe liver disease, yet still working as an agricultural worker.
We have high medical bills due to my husband's illness. And, only he's the only one working. I'm retired. I wake up in the morning, what am I going to do today?
It's just been a lot of stress. A lot of tears have been shed.
Now, family and friends like Tracy Weston are trying to help fundraise for funds and necessities.
We need financial donations or people who have some skills. Or as something comes up that we need, when we ask for it, we're trying to get the water, the sewer, all that hooked up so they can live here and be functional.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
A historic Portland restaurant shut down this weekend after a fire yesterday afternoon. Portland Fire and Rescue said the fire was in the kitchen of the Ringside Steakhouse that's on West Burnside. An investigator is working to find out what exactly caused it. The restaurant says it'll stay closed while it works through repairs and restoration. Developing in Hillsborough, a real estate developer from McMinnville has submitted plans to develop a new retail space. It will take over the location where the Macy's store used to be on Northeast Alley Avenue. The Alliance Residential Company is proposing creating a 6-story mixed-use building. The ground floor would be the retail space, with the upper floors being apartments. The existing building will be demolished, but the parking garage and Sky Bridge will remain. We'll keep you posted on any further updates.